Let's talk about Lunar Skyline, a trick-taking follow-up to my 2023 Game of the Year. Welcome to Brains on Games. I'm Dr. Brian McDonald. In this episode, we're going to, just in time for Halloween, we're going to preview a trick-taking game that's a real treat. This is a game that's a follow-up to my Game of the Year last year, which was Lunar Rush. You might be able to see just the bottom of the box on the shelf behind me. But this one's a game called Lunar Skyline. This is coming to Kickstarter very soon. Lunar Skyline is a trick-taking game, like I said. It works for between 2 and 6 players. Kids age 10 and up can figure this one out, but there are some strategic wrinkles that we're going to talk about. And games can take anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. They could go even longer because there are a variable number of rounds. You can decide to play extra rounds. Let's take a deeper look at Lunar Skyline from Dead Alive Games. Lunar Skyline is a trick-taking game, but it is medium in terms of its complexity. There are some strategic things that are happening here that push it just above, I would say, a light level. What you're trying to do in this game is earn the most points after a set number of rounds. Typically, you'd play 3 rounds, and certainly in a 3-player game, that's how we did it. I've only played this game at 3 players, even though it works with between 2 and 6. How do you earn those points? Well, you're going to earn points by winning tricks that have certain symbols on them. We'll talk about those. If you earn a certain number of tricks that you bid at the beginning, if you win a certain number of tricks, you're going to get to grab one of these contracts, and you're going to get to build one of these buildings on the moon's surface. So there are a number of different ways that you can earn points, but primarily you need to win those tricks and win the right number. That's going to allow you to grab. These contracts are game changers for sure. One of the things that you might notice immediately when you look at the cards in this game is that each card has 2 symbols on it. Each card falls under 2 different suits, and that really does complicate things. In a lot of these trick-taking games, you're trying to shed a particular suit so that you're more flexible in terms of the cards that you can play. This does make it difficult to do that because all of the cards have 2 suits on them. But before you even play that first card, you've got your 12 cards, and from those 12 cards, you're going to secretly take one, and that's your bid for the number of tricks that you're going to win. So if I play a 2, I'm guessing that I'm going to win only 2 of these tricks in this round. If I win fewer than that, there's not a penalty except that I don't get to grab one of these contracts because I haven't met my bid. If I earn too many, I'm going to have to discard tricks that are above this number, and I lose 2 points for each one. Once players have all chosen the card that they're going to use as their bid, everyone simultaneously reveals that card. It slides under this other card that's here that shows your building bid. That way everyone can see how many tricks you expect to win, how many you want to win, and which symbols are going to earn you points. Once everyone's revealed their bid, the player with the highest bid, the highest number that they've bid here, is going to lead the first hand, and then after that is the winner of the trick that's going to lead. This is a must-follow trick taker, and I did a video last year that has definitions. I do like trick takers a lot, so I've got a video from last year with lots of definitions about trick takers and reviews of other trick takers, and I'll put a link somewhere around here so that you can track that down. But must follow means that once a card is led, everyone has to play a card that matches the suit on the card that's led unless they have none of those symbols. You're going to go around the table clockwise. Each player is going to play their card. As I said, they have to play a card that matches if they don't have a symbol that matches. So I could play a robot, the same yellow card with a robot and a lightning, or I could play a card that has just a lightning on it. That's going to match as well. If I play a card with the same number, the later card is considered to be more powerful. There are ace cards. The aces, there's only 6 of these in the deck, 1 for each suit. There's only 1 symbol on the ace. You can play it as high or low. Although if you lead with an ace, it has to be a low card, which means you're going to lose that hand. If you don't have a card with the suit that matches the lead suit, as I said, you can play any card, but these cards will be considered smuggled at the end of the hand, meaning that I take this into my resources. So if I win a trick, I'm going to place it like this, But if I smuggle a card, it goes sideways to show that it's been smuggled. There are some contracts that give you bonuses for smuggled cards. That counts as a hand that I won. So it's going to go towards my 4 hands here. Honestly, at the end of the round, these smuggled cards are often the ones that kind of force people over their bid when they get trapped with cards in their hands that don't match anything else. The winner of the hand, the one who played the high card, is going to take those remaining cards, the ones that weren't smuggled, and these are going to go into their resources face up and down in portrait mode. But you choose which of these cards is going to go on the top, and that's going to dictate how many points it's worth to you. So if at the end of the game, after all the cards have been played, I've got a situation that looks like this, well, I've only won 2 hands, one of them was smuggled, I haven't met my contract, my bid here, so I don't get to take one of these contracts or one of these buildings. How many points am I going to earn? Well, I'm looking at the symbols up here and I'm counting those symbols on these cards down here at the bottom. So I've used this green card that has an astronaut and a cyborg on here. I have none of those symbols, so I'm going to get 0 points this round if that's the way that I played it. Obviously, I would have looked at these symbols and I would have chosen, if I won those 2 cards, I would have chosen to put this one on top because I've got a cyborg. That's going to earn me 1 point. Like I said, if I win too many hands, if I wind up with a bunch of smuggled hands at the end, I get to choose which ones I discard if I have too many. So in a case like this where I've got these 4 smuggled cards, I'll have taken one of these contracts. I'll be able to get one of these buildings at the end, but I'm going to have to discard one of these hands because I've won 5 instead of 4, and I'm going to lose 2 points as a result of that. Once everybody's counted up their points and added on the points that are provided by their contracts that they've won, and they grab this building, these buildings are worth bonus points at the end of the game based on the number of different ones that you have. Each suit only has 2 of these, so you're really thinking about your bid at the beginning of this game because you're taking the building that matches the card that you used as your bid. So if I manage to get my 4 hands in a round, I get to take one of these green cards, but there's only 2 of them in the game. Once you've played that set number of rounds and everybody's calculated up all their points and their bonus points, well, that's how you determine the winner. The player with the most points wins, and then you can start another game. Certainly this game goes quickly enough that usually we never played only one. We might have added some extra rounds every now and again, but usually we'd start a whole new game with everybody beginning at 0 after we'd played for about half an hour or so. What skills, though, are you practicing when you play a game like Lunar Skyline? Well, it is a game where you do need to plan ahead. You're planning ahead in terms of how many tricks are you going to win, when do you need to win those tricks so that you can get the contract that you want, and which cards are you going to use as your bid so that you can get the building that you want on your skyline. So there is some planning, and then you've got the resource management, the hand management that you're doing in the game. So you are managing those cards. You need to play them at certain times to win the hands that you want to win at the right time. And to make sure that you don't go over. So sometimes you get trapped into playing a card that you don't want, but you really do need to kind of plan ahead and manage your hand carefully. And when you are planning, when you are trying to budget resources, those are examples of executive functioning skills, the behaviors that you need for goal-directed action. And in this case, your short-term goals are winning the right number of tricks, and your longer-term goals are getting those various buildings at the end of the game. You are also practicing quantitative reasoning or math reasoning skills. And what is the quantitative reasoning? Well, how do you evaluate those cards in your hand to determine and figure out, well, how many tricks am I likely to win so that you bid the right amount but don't go over so that you can earn the right number of points that you need to defeat your opponents. So there is that quantitative reasoning in the context of the understanding of probability that you need, because there are 6 cards in a 3 or a 2 or a 3 or a 4 player game. Pardon me. In a 3 to 5 player game, there are 6 cards. How do you? What's the probability that a particular card is going to be out there on the table? You're also evaluating based on the other player's card plays and their bid. What cards are they looking for? Because you don't want to give them a card that's going to earn them too many points. Another factor here is working memory. Working memory being the whiteboard where you keep information so that you can juggle it somehow. And here you need to remember what cards have been played and what cards are no longer uh, in circulation so that you know whether you're going to be able to win a particular hand or not. Final thoughts about Lunar Skyline. Well, Lunar Skyline is a follow-up. Lunar Rush is a game that I really enjoyed. You know, you had worker placement, you had engine building, you had resource management, the pieces were great, everything about I really enjoyed the marketplace, everything in that game. I really, really liked it. It was my favorite game of last year. This is a totally different beast. It's a trick taker as opposed to more of a worker placement strategic kind of a game, but it is a strategic trick taker. Um, Beyond kind of the art style and the theme of building up, putting buildings on the moon, how do these two games relate to one another? Well, one thing that carries over is the idea that you're spending a resource to earn points. So in Lunar Rush, you're spending victory points in order to determine turn order. Here in Lunar Skyline, you're using one of your cards to show how many tricks you're going to win and which symbols are going to earn you those points. And those cards are valuable because you only have a certain number of cards in your hand, and you're taking two of those symbols that you want to earn points from, and those are showing the points as opposed to earning you points. So it is a game where you're spending. I really do like the bidding mechanism. In most trick takers, I like the bidding mechanism, but this one is so much more strategic. It matters so much more because you're not just determining whether or not you're going to earn points, because you can earn points if you don't make it to your bid. You're also determining how quickly, how many hands will have to be played before you can grab one of these contracts. Are you going to be racing against the other players to get a particular card? You're also evaluating, am I going to be able to get a different building at the end if I do manage to get the right number of cards? So it's a real, it is a real strategic choice to determine which card you're going to place under here as your bid. And then, of course, you've got that trick-taking mechanic, and with the extra kind of complication that each card has two suits, so it does definitely make things more complicated. No trump suit in this game. I mean, you saw that circle. It's not like there are ranked suits or anything like that. Instead, if you play a card that doesn't match the others, that counts as a hand that you've won, even though somebody else is also going to win that round too. So that again, that's another, it keeps the strategy interesting. There is a nice, even in the prototype, there's a nice sized deck of these contracts. You're only going to see a few at a time. They're going to come out in different orders. I think that adds to the replayability here. In addition to the fact that it takes a while to kind of learn how to predict how many hands you're going to win and to wrap your head around the cards with the double suits. Are there downsides though to Lunar Skyline? Well, not many, because I like trick takers, and I did love Lunar Rush, and this is a great game. Are there downsides? Well, one is that some folks who play trick takers want things to be more straightforward and don't like that bidding mechanic. I really do enjoy it. It's some of my favorite trick takers don't have that, but I really like bidding on the number of tricks that you're going to win, because then you're sticking players with cards that they don't want or hands that they don't want to win. So that does make for a fun trick taker for me, but it may not be for everybody. In the prototype that I was sent, there's no points tracker. So you're either writing points down on a sheet of paper each round, or in my case, we used poker chips to keep track of the points and the pluses and the minuses as you went through the game. Otherwise, I mean, it's the double suited cards. I think that's kind of a fun strategic element to the game. Some folks might find it a little over complicated. It does make it hard to shed a particular suit because everything has two symbols on it. So it is kind of hard to make sure that you're going to smuggle lots of cards at the end. But that's not something that got in the way of our enjoyment of the game. We really enjoyed Lunar Skyline. So I will put information about the Kickstarter campaign in the show notes below the video. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the comments section below, or you can email me at brian@brainsongames.ca. Brainsongames.ca is the website. That's where future episodes will go, and the previous ones are up there already. Brains on Games is the X handle and the Facebook page and the Instagram feed, so we're all over the place. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to be notified of future ones, you can head on over to YouTube and click that subscribe button. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you next time.